the new kid, because we moved a lot, I was sort of classified because of my name with these kids, and I didn't speak Spanish. But so I wasn't accepted particularly by them, nor was I accepted by the white kids.
Your childhood, you've told us, you've said, or you've written, was plagued by demons.
Mm-hmm.
What were those demons?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it was a lifetime of things that, when one has those problems, it's symptomatic behavior, panic attacks, phobias, all sorts of insomnia. Up to a point, they're manageable, and beyond that point, they're not so manageable. They really sort of manage you. And I guess what I was saying earlier is that went on through my life to the point at which I finally said, okay, enough of this. I hear tell you can get rid of this stuff if you're willing to dig in and have a look at where it came from. So
but through those other years, you had to find a way of living with these demons.
Yeah, I would say that the gifts I got from my parents, my father, although, quite frankly, he overlooked his children to see the rest of the world. And of course, I found myself doing that with my own son, and now I have a chance to repair any damage that might have been done. But I had a social, political foundation at a very early age, which has carried me all through my life. And then I had the musical. I had this enormous gift starting from an early age. So I had these two pillars. And when they merged, I really had a way to navigate my way through life. And I am extraordinarily proud of the things that young woman did. I don't know how she did them, but when I look back, it's something to be very proud of.
You were still at school when you made, in effect, your first political protest by refusing to take part in a civil defense exercise.
That's correct. Yeah.
Was that duck and cover?
It was duck and cover, exactly, yeah. They had most of the kids, because, most people make a profession out of not really thinking anything through, And it was 2 o'clock this afternoon, we're going to ring the bell or whenever it was, and you were supposed to dash home or call your parents and they'll pick you up and go home and hide in the cellar or whatever, because this was to be safe when the Russians attacked. And I went home and checked my father's physics manuals and found out how long it would take for a missile to get from Moscow to Palo Alto High School, and I realized that, it was a big fake. It was all nonsense. And plus, half the kids were going home to have what they were going to call bomb parties, So I stayed in school as a protest, and it was it was a personal issue for me. I knew it would cause some kind of, confusion, controversy, but it was huge. The next day it was on the front page of the paper, and the day after that, the letters started coming in from the parents of the children. Communist infiltrator, and so on. So it did launch my public political career with a great flair.
What launched your musical career? How did you become interested in music? How did you become aware that you could be a singer?
Well, I never considered myself a singer. I think I began playing the ukulele out of sheer... It comforted me. And I learned rhythm and blues songs. I only had 3 chords apiece, so why not? And then I began singing at school, and the kids listened and liked it. It just started from there. I remember somebody asking me, in high school, I was in about 10th grade, so I must have been 15, and somebody asked me about my future, and did I want to be a singer? And it had never crossed my mind. Did I think I was going to be famous? It had never crossed my mind. My idea of the future was the following Wednesday, and it stayed that way basically until 8 years ago, as I said, when I got serious about planning a career while I had the time left. I'd been given a career as a gift all the years that it existed, and then it kind of wasn't there really for a while. I was singing and I was making records, but I had no machinery behind me. I had no management and so forth, and so the decision was really to organize my gift to give it appropriately, and that was the only time that I really took it on in a serious way.
What was it in folk music that made so powerful an appeal to you then, and indeed to your audiences?
The word that's coming to my mind is truth. I don't know whether that's, I'm not sure Why exactly? Gandhi said his life was an experiment in truth with a small t. So I think the words, I mean, it is to do with life, love, beauty, and death. And then, for me, consistently, those things on a larger scale, I mean, which immediately takes one into social political arena.
The demons involved stage fright. Was that a great difficulty for you? Were you very frightened?
Oh, it was absolutely hideous, and thank God it's over. I mean, it's just, it's just, I don't have to do that anymore. Yeah, at the very beginning was absolutely horrible. Yeah.
Like how?
Oh, I curl up in the corner and sweat and turn all green until somebody finally would say, just to sort of pick me up like a rag and stuff me off onto the stage. You know, it's almost like a boot in the rear to get me going. And then once I got going, I was generally okay. Yeah. It's not a pleasant way to sing. You know?
And that went on and on and on.
Went on for quite a while, yeah.
You met Bob Dylan early in 1961. What was that first meeting like?
It was sort of humorous. He was in Gertie's center where everybody gathered. And I think he was opening for John Lee Hooker. And somebody had told me about this amazing guy. He was an amazing guy.
You described him in one of your books as touching and infinitely fragile.
Yeah.
Is he fragile?
I don't even know anything about him now. I've just enough brains to know that's one person I'll never figure out. There are 4 or 5, you know, I have enough humility to know I don't understand. So.
Do you get on with him if you see him now?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You, in part of your life, were frightened. But you, with great physical bravery, marched in the very difficult situation of trying to do something to get black Americans their civil rights in the South. Wasn't that frightening?
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe I welcomed a real threat. You know, internal phobias are really ghastly. I think maybe I would rather. Always a very, very funny thing happened after the fact. When I was in Hanoi in 1972, I was in a bomb shelter for 11 days. In and out of a bomb shelter. It was the American B-52s pounding Hanoi, and I was there with 3 other Americans visiting. While I was there, in the face of the possibility of real death, all my phobias vanished. And then when we left, I'd be in the bomb shelter praying to not die, and then feeling guilty because if the bomb didn't hit me, it was going to hit somebody else. You know, it was kind of a no-win situation. And then in the airplane, leaving, we hit a thunderstorm. And I almost wanted to be back in the bomb shelter where, I was free of the old stuff. And it was, it was real, facing real death. Sometimes I think that people who grow up in a place like the United States we don't have enough noodles to really know when to be afraid. I mean, in Argentina, I was with the Mothers of the Disappeared in 1981, and the Perez Esquivel, who then won the Nobel Peace Prize, we were going to all march together with the mothers and who were looking for their disappeared children. And he left me for a few minutes, walked around the block, and a man approached him with a gun. And he was trembling when he came and told me this. I mean, he's white and he was trembling. I didn't have enough sensibility as a safe American kind of person to realize that was, that he could have been killed and I could have been killed. So sometimes I was saved by just ignorance.
Was King always brave and on top of things, Martin Luther King, or did he
It's the people who are not on top of things who are really brave. He was terrified. He was terrified of tear gas. He was terrified of being beaten, and he did it anyway. And he went and he did all of those things anyway.
Did you see him at the point of desperation?
No, I never really did. Mm-mm. I was probably running the other direction because I was equally as frightened of tear gas.
Some of your songs that were
I have a question of you now. You know that I really want to talk about what I do now. Are we coming to that, or are we going to get stuck in 1964
No, we
and never
can
get
out of the 60s.
Okay, well, let's do that now and then go back. How's that?
Get out of the 60s now?
It would be a wonderful idea to get out of the 60s. It's 1997.
It's still a frightening world.
Absolutely. Is that a statement or is that a question?
It's a question.
Oh, it's a question. Well, happily for me, I've always been a cynic, and I've done whatever I've done with a healthy, cynical outlook. In other words, I'm not expecting too much of the human race because it's generally so ill-behaved that I don't think I'm going to change it. I did what I did and I do what I do anyway. And at the moment, I really am on a musical escapade and I am so happy with it. And I have found the music that really reflects the times now. I found the young people who write that music. And this is the third album I've made since I've been on this little escapade, where I really tabled everything else that had been priority in my life for so many years and said, it's really important to break those habits. What's here for me when I don't answer the telephone and say, yes, I'll fly to Bosnia, yes, I'll fly to Hanoi. What's here? That's part of, I'm sure, why I finally did the internal work as well. I broke an enormous pattern. And it was the right thing to do. I mean, the gift of my voice, which I can speak about freely because it's nothing to do with me. All I do is maintenance and delivery. I looked for and found the right musicians. I worked with 3 marvelous musicians on the stage. We looked for and found songs that are as powerful as anything I ever sang in the past. It's the context of the past